Our series of stories on the acting state police commissioner has Republicans taking action. Tonight, there is an effort to keep him from getting this job permanently. Here's what's happened. This week, a retired state trooper put up 2 signs in Marcus Brown's Cumberland County neighborhood criticizing him. Many troopers feel Brown should not be wearing the state police trooper uniform because he's never been a trooper in Pennsylvania. Brown took the signs down, and that trooper was there secretly recording it. It was a bit of a one-man sting operation, and Brown took the bait because taking those signs could get him a theft charge. Well, then late last night, Brown apologized for taking down those signs. His statement said in part, "I acted hastily without considering my role and the leadership position I hold in the Commonwealth." Our Kendra Nichols is here now with what is new today. And Kendra, this is totally snowballed.
Alicia, it certainly has. And it certainly caught the attention of many at the Capitol, and they have taken their concerns to the governor.
Could a few seconds of video end Marcus Brown's nomination for state police commissioner? The video has certainly raised some concerns at the Capitol. The man who wants to be the top cop admitted he took signs that were criticizing him off of public property near his home in Hampton Township. Brown has since apologized, but some lawmakers say actions speak louder than words.
And the concern is if this is the type of judgment that he shows in a situation such as this, then as our top law enforcement officer, what is his judgment going to be when faced with a larger issue?
The video has sparked Senate leadership to send this letter to Governor Wolf asking him to recall Brown's nomination.
There were other concerns that had been raised previously in things that he had done in Maryland and in Pennsylvania with some different tax exemptions, a pension issue, and some other things. All of these things are just kind of piling up to raise questions about his judgment.
Now we're told the governor is not removing Brown's nomination. Again, Brown will have to be confirmed by the Senate. He will go before the Law and Justice Committee, and they will get to ask him a bunch of questions, and then they will decide if he then moves his nomination to the Senate floor for a vote. Now, Alicia, we're told that could happen sometime in April.
So there is a segment of people watching this because they write to us on Facebook and email wondering what is the big deal with this. I mean, he's got a long history in law enforcement, but he's wearing the uniform. I mean, what do people say?
Well, I think some say he didn't graduate from the Pennsylvania state trooper, so he shouldn't wear it. And there has been a former commissioner who did not graduate from the academy, and he wore a suit and tie.
And I think one last question for you. I mean, there are some people who say, look, if there were signs critical of me in my neighborhood, I'd take them down too.
I think a lot of people understand that where he was coming from, but I think police would tell those people too, you also have the chance of facing theft charges.
We'll see what happens with this one.
The bandwagon to dump Marcus Brown as state police commissioner grew today as the union that represents troopers sent a scathing letter to the governor calling for Brown's removal. But Wolf continues to turn a deaf ear to the expanding chorus of critics. A blurry videotape of Marcus Brown removing signs last week turned into very clear and straightforward calls for Governor Wolf to remove his nominee for state police commissioner. The State Troopers Association sent this letter to the governor saying it has no confidence in Brown. It said, Mr. Brown gave a speech to our department's commissioned officers and stated they will be held to a higher standard. I ask of you, who is going to hold Mr. Brown to that same higher standard? Cumberland County DA is investigating whether Brown broke the law when he removed these signs that were critical of him for wearing the state police uniform when he didn't graduate from its academy. Senate Majority Leader Jake Corman had no opinion on whether Brown may have been set up by a former trooper who took that video, but said either way, Brown should go.
Go on someone else's property to do what he did because it bothered him. That's just, that's for the top cop, that's just not good enough. You got to make good decisions.
While the drumbeat to dump Brown grows louder, Governor Wolf is standing by his pick and trying to quiet the critics.
What he did was acted as a father, and he regrets what he did, and he apologized. I think that was the right thing to do. I'd like to move on.
But moving on means the story continues on. Corman said he doubts there's enough votes in the Senate right now to confirm Brown, but promised the governor he'll get a hearing, the tone of which could get ugly if it's anything like the harshly worded letter from those troopers saying that Brown's an embarrassment to your office, our department, and all rank-and-file troopers.
So first it was the uniform, then removing signs. Now a racist letter is putting the acting state police commissioner back in the headlines.
That's right, Alicia. Another day, another development, and now Marcus Brown's Hampton Township neighborhood is on edge, and those who know him best are blasting his critics.
Beautiful neighborhood. Lived here for 46 years.
Beautiful and on edge after this racially tinged letter obtained by ABC 27 was left in the mailbox of Marcus Brown's Hampden Township home. A community-wide email warned neighbors to be on alert, saying, "These actions are frightening. My children are concerned about their safety, and I too am concerned." The sleepy development has been awakened in recent weeks with planted signs critical of Brown, videotape of the commissioner removing them. Brown apologized, but his neighbors feel harassed by the forces trying to derail his nomination as the state's top cop. The email went on to say this group appears to stop at nothing to terrorize the neighborhood.
It's just a shame that I feel it's kind of a railroading.
Lee Stein is Brown's neighbor, has known him more than 20 years.
Well, it's very concerning, particularly because of Marcus. We think a lot of Marcus. We think a lot of the family.
The Marcus Brown that I've known since the mid-'70s and still know today, I'm proud to call him my friend.
Fort Chapman's known Marcus since the 6th grade, thinks there's way too much uproar over Brown's decision to wear the gray.
I think he's being unjustly criticized for something, whether he should have the uniform or shouldn't. It's a decision he made, and for things like signs to be put in the neighborhood and step to go to that level, I just think it's wrong.
But wrong, insist Brown's critics, was his removal of those signs and his decision to wear a uniform he didn't earn. The Troopers Union and Majority Leader of the Senate have called for his nomination to be withdrawn because they say he exercised poor judgment.
I think that in a sense it's been a rush to judgment.
Senator Pat Vance says fellow Republicans have climbed aboard the anti-Brown bandwagon before even meeting him. Marcus lives in her district, and she's worried colleagues will simply follow the leader and vote no.
I don't pretend to tell other senators what to do, but I would say at least meet the man, talk to him, and then make a judgment.
Now, Brown turned the racist letter over to Hampden police, who turned it over to the DA. It's being investigated. But Brown's critics question the authenticity of that letter. Brown wrote an op-ed. It's on our website right now, abc27.com.
You just saw Marcus Brown there in Stephen's story. He has been acting police commissioner for 2 months now. He's from Mechanicsburg. He has a long history in law enforcement, mostly in Maryland. The problem for some within the state police is that he's wearing the state police uniform, even though he didn't graduate from Pennsylvania's State Police Academy. In fact, a few weeks ago, as Val alluded to, a retired trooper put up signs in Brown's Hampden Township neighborhood saying he didn't earn it, he shouldn't wear it. When Brown removed the signs, that retired trooper was there to record it and said that's a case of theft. On top of all that, several Republican lawmakers plan to vote against his confirmation. Well, we did catch up with him today, and he said he's just going to keep doing his job.
The mission of the state police is to work very hard to make all communities safe across Pennsylvania. And my job leading the state police is to continue to do that. And our officers have done such a great job everywhere, and we've worked so hard in so many of the communities. And for me, my priority is continue to move that forward.
So no concern?
No.
No concerns. Okay, so Governor Wolf wants him to lead the state police, but Brown must be confirmed by a majority of the Senate. We don't know if that's going to happen or not, and the date for his confirmation hearing is not yet set. We'll keep you updated.
The Cumberland County DA said, yes, Brown took signs critical of him. Yes, those signs were illegally placed, but no charges will be filed, and there are no winners in the case. The video is blurry, but DA Dave Freed has a clear picture of what happened.
It's clear that both parties here should have known better.
Former Trooper Anthony DeLuca planted these signs critical of Marcus Brown near Brown's house. Brown took them.
He set the bait, and Brown took it, hook, line, and sinker.
But DeLuca broke a Hampden Township ordinance by placing these signs in a public right-of-way. He won't be charged.
Yeah, it's technically a violation, but that ordinance is violated every day and not enforced. And not my role to enforce, frankly. It's the township's role to enforce.
Freed will also not charge Brown, saying there was no criminal intent to his theft. But the DA said Brown should not have taken the signs, even though he empathizes with Brown's embarrassment and anger over the public criticism.
Yeah, you go behind closed doors and scream and yell about it and complain to your wife. And, you know, I speak from personal experience.
So Brown is clear of charges, but he has yet to clear Senate confirmation. That could be tougher. His hearing hasn't been set yet, and the majority leader expressed doubts.
Go on someone else's property to do what he did because it bothered him. That's just, that's for the top cop, that's just not good enough.
Better judgment, Freed said, should have been exercised by both Brown and DeLuca.
Yeah, there is an element of Keystone Cops.
Career policemen, he said, should know better.
Nor are our criminal laws designed to soothe battered egos, punish errors in judgment, or act as chess pieces in a political game.
Now, Freed said today's ruling only pertains to the signs. There was a racially tinged letter that showed up in Brown's mailbox a few days later. Freed said physical evidence has been retrieved, and that investigation continues.
He responded to critics and now to lawmakers. The acting PSP commissioner had his confirmation hearing. Kendra Nichols is live, staying on the story at the state capitol. Kendra.
Now, the Law and Justice Committee has moved Marcus Brown's confirmation to the full Senate for a vote, but once again, Brown had to answer questions about his conduct.
Is there any training that you should or have to undergo as a trooper?
At moments, acting State Police Commissioner Marcus Brown was under fire.
How do you justify having two properties getting tax-exempt status in both properties?
I get the feeling that in many instances the law has been bent in your favor. And I'll start with the Baltimore police pension.
Are you as commissioner an actual member of the Pennsylvania State Police?
The yard sign removal.
In fact, the person responsible for those yard signs was sitting right behind Brown during the hearing.
Did you return the signs?
Why are you not in uniform today?
I'm not here to represent the organization. I'm here on behalf of Marcus Brown before the committee.
Wearing a uniform. That's a concern, and I don't know how you're going to overcome that within the complement itself.
And for some, Brown wearing the state police uniform overshadows his resume.
When the vote comes from your confirmation, I will be casting a negative vote. And my main reason is focused around the uniform issue.
But Brown also had his supporters.
You need to be commended, not interrogated.
Williams told committee members Brown's 25 years in law enforcement should overshadow the politics.
Tearing up a lawn sign, wearing a uniform would never prevent a person from being confirmed in the Senate before. So on the sign issue, I just want you to know, shock of shocks. There's some of us who've run campaigns before here, and we've torn down other signs.
Brown is hoping the Senate will focus on his accomplishments.
And so every single day I'll work with the leadership here to make sure that they understand that my goal is to make the agency better and to help public safety across the state. I think the goal that I'm trying to reach is well worth all that I've gone through.
So it's thumbs down for Marcus Brown. Governor Wolf's nominee to head the state police did not get the required votes today. Tonight, the future is uncertain for the Mid-State native. Dennis Owens, he's staying on the story. He was in the Senate chamber today for that vote. Dennis.
Alicia, unprecedented. That's the word I'm hearing. Longtime Capitol folks cannot remember when a governor's nominee went up for a vote in the Senate and failed. Today's rejection, not just a blow to Marcus Brown, but it could be an outward sign of the tensions between the governor and Senate leaders. Marcus Brown had one last chance Monday morning behind closed doors to convince Republican senators to vote for him. He couldn't do it. The governor tried to pull his nomination and submit it later. The Senate normally allows that, but not this time. It put the vote to the floor, and on a mostly party line vote,
nominee not having received the required affirmative votes,
it was thumbs down for Marcus Brown.
Fails confirmation, and the governor will be so advised.
Was it the uniform, swiping signs, the lack of an endorsement from the Troopers Association? All three?
The stories kept changing on a lot of these different issues. So I think that's people never got a level of comfort that he was the person for the job.
Democrats injected race, saying Brown's promise to increase PSP diversity scared the naysayers.
He has all of the qualifications. I think this is politic. And I think this starts to track down those issues of race and the commitment to not want to be diverse, which has got us in this situation right now.
I think there was a lot of nitpicking about certain things, about the uniform, not the uniform.
Senator Pat Vance was one of 3 Republicans to support Brown, who grew up in her district. She thinks Senate Republicans wanted to send Governor Wolf a message, and Marcus Brown got caught in the middle.
In the early part of any administration, there's always too much testosterone flowing. Who's the boss? So I think in some parts, yes, that was probably part of it.
Brown will remain acting commissioner. Wolf could resubmit his name, but Senate Republicans say it's time to move on to a new nominee.
Don't tell us who to confirm. We didn't confirm this one for whatever reason. 95% of the people we did confirm. He needs to respect us as we respect him.
This is a nightmare that none of us have asked for. This is something that doesn't play well for the Commonwealth. but we have a constitutional duty, and that means something.